All right, hello. Uh, so this is going to be the first video in a series of videos regarding ECG rhythms that we're going to do studies on, just analyzing case studies. And then I'll probably do some training videos like recognizing patterns, things of that nature. Uh, as a paramedic, cardiology is by far my favorite thing to do, favorite thing to research and look at and get into because, well, of many reasons. I can get into that some other time. It's just something that's always been really cool to me. So I figured we'd start out the first video with one of my favorite cases that I have, and that is, uh, excuse me, this actually happened during my clinical time at one of our local EDs. So this gentleman came in about, he was about 45 years old. Just with some dizziness every time he stood up, he got real dizzy, and he was feeling really like nauseated, and just kind of like something wasn't right, I believe is how he described it. Came in, we put him in the room, got him in a gown. I was starting an IV while the nurse helped me out was putting him on the monitor. We see this on the monitor. Throw on pads just for safety, but like I said, he's presenting fine. A&O times 4, GCS 15. But we put him on pads just in case things started getting hairy. Heart rate of 32. Pause the video and take a look at it. I wish I had a measuring tool that I could actually march out P waves with, but I did it just on my own personal, on paper. So pause the video and see if you can tell which one it is. Don't worry about this one yet, just this one. All right, welcome back. If you notice, these PRI intervals right here are all consistent. And then there's drop beats here, here, and here, these being ventricular escape beats. And yep, it is a second degree type 2 or Mobitz 2 AV block. So consistent PRI, consistent PRI, consistent PRI, drop beat, drop beat, drop beat. Now, technically, since this is a 2-to-1 conduction, you could say, well, technically you can't say it's second degree type 2 because there's always a possibility it could be a Mobitz one, because you can't tell if the PRI is lengthening or not, just because part of a Mobitz 1 is there will be a drop beat at the very end where it will lengthen, get longer, and then drop a beat and reset to lengthen, 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 drop a beat in a Mobitz 1. But I'm going to go ahead and say it's a second degree type 2 because the next one, which was taken 6 minutes later, is a complete heart block. And we know that second degree type 2s quickly degrade into third degree heart blocks. So that, and for another reason. So we did end up giving this gentleman atropine to try and speed up his heart rate. And we know that a second degree type 2 is an infra, with an F, infranodal rhythm, which means it happens below the junction. And the problem is the parasympathetic system only goes to the AV node. So if it happens in the AV node, the parasympathetic system can do something about it. If it's below, that's not going to work. And since atropine is a parasympathetic antagonist, which is essentially just taking the brakes off, is how I learned it best, that's not going to work. And it did not work. We ended up giving 2 doses of 0.5, and his heart rate remained pretty much unchanged. This was taken 6 months later, and already it has gone from a second degree type 2. And if you notice, PRIs are now inconsistent. All the P waves march out, QRSs march out, but they do not march out with each other. That is correct. It is a third degree complete AV dissociation block. So P waves are doing their own thing, QRSs are doing their own thing. We've got our ventricular escape rhythm there in the bottom. And yeah, there you go. Complete heart block. Still, ANO times 4, GCS 15, just having a little dizzying. When he's laying down flat or semi-Fowlers as he was doing fine. He didn't really have the dizziness. And this was taken at 1821. Still pretty much the same thing. Still complete heart block. You say the PRI intervals are inconsistent. And that's something that has always been amazing to me. In my very short career as a paramedic, which could be put on a post-it note in all reality, I've had 3 different times where we've had a gentleman in complete heart block, and they were all ANO times 4 GCS 15, not really presenting that big and hairy, even though we all know that this is a big hairy rhythm. And they were all fine. Like, I believe this fellow's blood pressure was like 110 systolic, and that was the same with, and I had another case where he had like 113 systolic, and another case, the first one I had was, I think 90, or not really 90, it was like 95, but he was a little more hairier, more of a hairy situation, because he went and actually into a ventricular standstill, and I wish to this day that I had got that strip, because it was a really weird looking strip, but I didn't. So, but yeah. He was awake and alert enough to even be arguing with the cardiologist, who was saying, "Sir, you need a pacemaker. We're going to take you and put a pacemaker in." And he's like, "Nah, I do not want your pacemaker. I don't want any of this." And we convinced him how deadly this rhythm was, which was hard to do since he was sitting up talking, doing fine. I thought that was kind of funny, but yes, he won a pacemaker. He went in and got one put in. So yeah, all the more reason that cardiology is really cool. And so in review, second degree type 2, because of consistent PRI with drop beats. Complete heart block. Complete heart block. Very cool. Alright. And that'll be the first video. Like I said, I'll get more videos out there. I'm going to try and get with other providers who are much smarter than I and get other people's input, and hopefully this hits the ground running and will work out. All right. Have a nice day.